Oh, there we go. Just move that to one side without it dropping too much. Good afternoon. Just wait for a few of you to come on. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Nottinghamshire. I'll just do a little bit of inking while I'm waiting for some people to come in. Let me see who I can see. Got a couple of you coming in. Oh, let's turn that volume off. Right, we're getting some coming in now. That is lovely. Now, are you joining me from your tablets and phones in the garden, or are we indoors keeping cool? Because it's very warm out there today, I must say. So, and as usual, my comments aren't coming up, but I'll keep going. Oh, Sue's with us. She's got it's a bit too warm for her doggy, so I hope you're keeping cool then, Sue, at home, and keeping the dog company as well. So getting a few of you coming in now. I'm going to find my list of offers because I'm just doing some inking of letters ready for this new page size. So who's getting excited? It's just lovely when Pink Frog can bring us something brand new. We've got a new page size now, and this is where Pink Frog listen to the customers, and we ask you what you'd like to see or have for your crafting, because you know with Pink Frog that you get quality, and because we do unscored cards, you can have the card at any size you wish as well. So a few more coming in. So today I'm going to be working with US letter size. Okay, so I'm going to be working in inches today and not centimetres, because US letter size comes obviously in the inch size. So I'm going to work in inches. Now, I know many of you prefer to work in inches to centimetres. It's always interesting to see. I know scrapbookers out there love their inches. And myself, I do too. I have to double think when I'm thinking of centimetres because I was brought up old school. So, yeah, I just have to be wary of it. So today I've got the US letter size. So we've got a few colours in at the moment. We have, let me bring this out. We've got the lovely Super Smooth. Always need Super Smooth. So that works out 10 sheets for £2.50, but you can buy larger bundles on the Pink Frog website, and obviously the price varies. So this is even before you use your 10% discount if you've signed up to the Pink Frog newsletter. We've got True Black. Okay, that works out, that's 280 GSM, and that is 10 sheets for £4. But obviously you can buy bigger bundles, so you get more discount, and don't forget to use your 10% discount on top. We've got Craft Card. Now the Craft Card is 350 GSM. 10 sheets again, £2.50, but you can buy bigger bundles as you're aware. So we've got the Craft Card. And then we've got the watercolour cards. You've got that lovely texture on there for the watercolour card. And again, that works out, that's 280 GSM, and that is £4 for 10 sheets. But again, you could get bigger bundles. So we've got sort of the core colours, if you like, that you're going to need. So this is your US letter size. Okay, so something a little bit different. Asked by popular demand, and I know many US people do watch and they can buy off eBay with Pink Frog. I'm sure I'm saying that correctly. Kimberly will tell me otherwise. So I'm just reading the notes, but I'm gonna carry on. So we've got all these. Now we've got another cardstock that is US letter size, and this is our black textured paper. Now this is 115 GSM, and you get 100 sheets for £6. Now, this is fabulous for so many reasons. Firstly, it's a lighter weight. So if you're just using for matting and layering, it's brilliant. But also it's got a lovely texture on it. Can you hear that? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera down so I can share the texture with you so you can get a bit more of a feel for what it's like. All right, so let me move those things out the way. Oh, and before we start, we are looking at the VE Day celebrations. I know these are going to be a bit back to front because it's the 80th anniversary on the 8th of May. So we've got the VE celebrations here in the UK. So I thought we'd look at some VE cards or ways that you could decorate if you're having a special party or a street party or things like that going on. Use them for scrapbooking as well. You can use some of these techniques. So I think without further ado, let's get the camera flipped. And I would like to thank you all for joining me on this glorious sunny afternoon because, yes, you could be doing other things, but it's lovely that you're joining me and I'm so pleased. So let's bring this in. Now, see, I lined all this up earlier. The camera has been playing silly things with me all day. So, yes, that should be absolutely fine because I want you to see as much as possible. My camera's down a bit low. I know why. The camera setting keeps going to the other setting and it's wrong. So this is the black texture. So you will feel that difference. So if I get the black, the true black, which is smooth, you don't get that feel at all. Now the black texture, let me try and share with you. I've tried it with an opaque ink pad, but I don't think it shows the texture up very much. I tried putting some of Lisa Horton's interference inks on my finger and it doesn't show up as much to me. But when you put your gilding wax on, oh wow. So I tell you what, let's put some gilding wax on. Mine's getting a bit hard now, but I'll try my best. Look, I'll put a big dollop on there. When you use your gilding wax, use the flat part of your hand and your hand will warm the wax up, but you can gradually see that texture. Now with gilding wax, you can do it as strong or not as you like. But I don't know whether that is coming across on the camera. I can see it here to my naked eye, but I'm not sure if that's coming across on the camera in the light. Oh, I think it might be, looking at my screen. I think it might be. So there's a lovely texture to it. So it's not like our linen card. It's not as strong as that, but it's got that subtle texture. So use for your mats and layerings. Perfect if you're thinking about weight for card sending. Also, don't forget scrapbooking. If you're doing your folios or scrapbook pages, you could use it for that as well. I'm not sure if it's acid lignin free. Kimberly might be able to just let me know. But this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the A4, not the A4, we're looking at the US letter size. So if I bring my ruler in, when we talk about a US letter, it's totally different to UK. UK, we normally talk A4. So US letter is 8.5 inches, okay, which is roughly about 21 centimetres by 11 inches, which is roughly 28 centimetres. But I'm going to work in inches today. I'm going to show you 2 card folds. We're going to do the 2. We're going to do this one here that's got this lovely, I've used the clear film to create a bridge. So you've got all that lovely movement going on with the flaps here. So something just a little bit different. And then that's using it as a half fold US letter. And then I've done this one as well, which is slightly different. I could have kept it all as just the zigzags going along, but I've done some cuts in here. So it's a bit like a bit of a shutter. I don't know what you'd call it. I seen it on Pinterest and I thought, let's have a go at that. So obviously the size is different to what I saw on Pinterest because I hadn't seen it in the US letter, but it works. So I'm going to give you the measurements for that one as well. So I think let's start with this one first. So for this one, I'm going to use some Super Smooth for my base on this. So I've got my Super Smooth here. So I'm going to bring my scoreboard up and we're just going to do a score in half. So we know it's 11 inches. So we're looking at 5.5 inch score. Okay, and you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Yes, we're going to give that a little burnish. So we'll fold that down. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring my trimmer in. And I think I should have put a new blade in, but we'll see how we get on. So I'm going to bring my trimmer straight in and I'm going to go to, let's move that in there. I'm going to go to the 2 inch mark and I'm going to position it at the 2 inch mark and I'm going to use my blade, but I'm going to stop at the score line. So we'll just go straight up there to that score line. That's one. And then I need to do the same this side. So I'm just going to flip it over and do the same again. So I'm coming in at 2 inches on both ends. And that's as quick as it's going to work out for you to do. So that is just giving you that different fold. Okay. So I have prepared a couple of bits because I want to get as much done as I can while I'm with you. You know I'm going to lose my film. It's going to happen. I'm afraid it will happen. So the dies I'm going to use today are the Lovely Soldier from Pink Frog. I think he works out at $7.50. He is gorgeous because the detail in this die is amazing, right down to his boots and the little gun and the hat. And it's a poignant figure that you see around all the celebrations that are going on. I know the I want to say that, yes, the Tower of London, they're doing another big poppy display from, I think it is the 8th of May, and it's going right through till August. So they're really doing a big display with the poppies again. Now, the other dies I'm going to be using are some letter dies, and these are the Julie Hickey letter dies that I'm using. Just some dies I've got at home, but I thought the font worked really well with what I was doing here today for you. So they're the dies that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to pop the letter dies away because I've already pre-cut those. But I'm going to keep my little Tommy. It's called Tommy, I think, isn't it? Someone will be shouting at the screen, telling me the name. I'm sure it's Tommy, the soldier. So I'll pop him there because he's just gorgeous. So I've got my card blank. Now I've used my textured card to make some mats. So I thought rather than wasting my heavier card, I've used my textured card. So that lovely texture on there. I've cut myself 2 panels that are 1 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I've cut another panel for the middle that is 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So we'll just stick those down because this lighter paper, textured paper, works really well to do your mats. So it's just, you know, one of those that I think you'll find you'll go to quite a lot for your mats. So we'll just pop this on here. Now, if you worry that you haven't got a pen and paper ready for the measurements, you know you can watch the video back. Kimberly puts it on the Pink Frog YouTube channel. So that'll be going up on YouTube probably tomorrow. So you can always watch back for the measurements if you've forgotten or you're not prepared with a pen and paper. I should have said grab a pen and paper, shouldn't I? But so it'll be on there, and it will also be on the Pink Frog website on the Craft Alongs with Claire and Dawn. Kimberly will pop the video on there tomorrow as well. So you can always watch it back on several of the Pink Frog platforms. So doesn't that look fabulous already? Just that lovely matte layer with the texture. Now for the top, I'm going to go on this time with some watercolour card. So I'm going to do some watercolour card techniques. So I'm going to go on, I've got 2 panels that are 1.5 by 5 inches. So I've got 2 of those. I put centimetres on there as well. So it's 3, you can work out the centimetres if you're into centimetres. And then the large panel is 4 inches by 5 inches. So I've got my panels going on there. So let me put the lid on my glue, because I'm going to start off with the Lisa Horton Interference inks. And I'm going to bring in... we're going to bring that one in. I've got here a Summer Garden and Golden Sunshine. Okay, so we've got those, which is basically your red and your green. So I'm going to start off with the 2 side panels, and I'm going to drag some of the lovely red down. Now, if you're in the market for your Lisa Horton inks, you know Pink Frog have still got them in stock as well. So I'm just going to drag some down. Now these are water reactive. Okay, so I'm just going to drag some of that ink down, move that out of the way. Then I've got my water spritzer, and I'm going to spritz some water on. So this is the watercolour card I'm using here, and I'm just going to drag, let that drip down for a bit of a different texture going on here. So I've left it on the desk and then giving it that texture down. Now if you want a bit more red going on, obviously I can't go back in, but I can bring some ink to my board, and then I can wet this with my water spritzer, and I can always go in and add some more if I want to. So I just dab in that on, and then again watercolor card, give that a bit more of a soak, and let that just drip down. Okay, so this one's a bit more subtle than the other one, but it's absolutely fine. This is what it's all about, is being a bit free with your work. It's not having everything symmetrical. So I'm soaking that watercolor. There we go. So that will do. So then I'm going to get my towel and just wipe this up. And normally I would go ahead and do some moppy pickups and things like that, but I want to move on and share with you as much as I possibly can. So I'm just going to leave those to dry for a minute. I will have to heat dry them. And then I've got my main centre panel piece. Okay, so I'm going to take my poppy stamps. So remember that the offers on for April, as in the stamps, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Kimberly will share. All these offers finish at midnight tonight. So please, please don't miss out on the offers, because the stamps are on offer. So please don't miss out on those. I'm using the Precious Poppies, which is the bigger version. I'm going to use this lovely stamp here. I love these poppy stamps. They're just absolutely timeless. Something you're going to come back to time and time again. Now, I've got my big, she says, and I've lost it. There we go. Big acrylic block. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this, I've got my Summer Garden. And I'm just going to dab where the green would be on the stamp. Now these are water reactive, so we can do this technique. You can also do this technique with your distress inks as well. Okay, it's a lovely technique to do. And when we're talking about water reactive, they say wet a little bit longer and they react with water. I'm then using the Golden Sun. So this will come out red on your white card. I'll bring my colour charts in. I've got them out to share with you and I've forgotten to do it. So I'll bring those in shortly. So I'm going to bring that in. Now, if you're worried about stamping, please don't. Get your ink on. The nice thing about the Lisa Horton interference inks is they stay wet for a little bit longer. So you haven't got to panic. Distress inks don't so much. So if you're using distress inks, you need to do a huff. So you're going to go, because the heat from your breath will make them stay wet for longer. So, so a bit of a huff on there. Down on your watercolour card. Press that down. And sometimes people say to me, oh, like inks, I've got it down, but I'm not getting a nice, crisp, clear image. Sometimes just let the ink soak into the paper. Just leave it there a minute. Just let it sink into the paper. Let it do its thing. All right. And then we'll remove that. And you've got that fabulous image of that beautiful poppy. Now you can do so much with this. I could spritz it with water to give a bit of a dilute effect. I could go in with my water brush and drag the colour out. I could go in with pencils. I could go in with pen. I could do an array of things. But this time I'm going to leave this plain. Okay, so sometimes I think it just looks beautiful as is. So before I do any more, I am just going to wipe my stamp. You know, good housekeeping. So we get that lovely stamp wipe. Now, who's got poppy stamps? And if you haven't, where have you been? And if you haven't, get them now while the offer is still on until midnight tonight, because they are brilliant. So I'm just going to bring my heat gun in just to make sure that Lisa Horton ink is dry. And also give these a little bit of a whiz. See, the nice thing about the watercolour card is you can go on the back, you can go on the front. It doesn't matter. It takes the water an absolute dream. There we go. That will be enough for now. I'll give it another whiz in a minute. I'll just set it to the side to dry while we do some inking around this. Now, this time I am going to bring my distress inks in. So I've got the Festive Berries and Hickory Smoke. And I've lost my blending tool. We'll have this one as I found it. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to do some inking around the edge. Now, again, I know Pink Frog have got these lovely blending tools. I could use my brushes as well, but I'm going to use the blending sponge. So this is on the watercolour card. So I'm getting a nice texture to this as well. Whereas in a minute, I'm going to use the Super Smooth on the next card, and you're going to get a totally different look. Okay, so I'm just going around the edge to create a halo. And this effect you could do with any of the Pink Frog flower stamps that we've got. It doesn't have to be a poppy. I've used the poppy here today, but it doesn't have to be. So it could be any you want. So if you think I don't do colouring in, Dawn, you don't have to do colouring in. Just stamp the image with your coloured inks and do some blending around the edge. So I'm coming in a little bit closer to the image, but it gives that lovely halo. So now I'm going to put the red away and I'm going to come in with the Hickory Smoke, which is like a grey. Okay, so I've got the grey, and this time I'm going to go just on the edge just to give that lovely illusion. I'm going to do one side first so you can see the difference that you've got. But the watercolour card, it takes your inks beautifully, it takes your colouring beautifully, it takes water in abundance, as you know. So if you haven't tried watercolour card, it's just great as a different texture to work on. So this is just a grey hickory smoke. Okay, so we're just building that colour up around the edge. So if I just let that just sit on the desk a minute, that side's got the 2 colours on, and that side's just got the red on. I think I might need to come down a little bit closer. Let me bring my camera down a little bit closer. There you go. Can you see the difference with the 2? By having that grey on there, it just makes it stand out even more, doesn't it? So I'm going to continue and add just a little bit of grey on here to finish this one off. So I'm going in with my ink, and then I start at the edge and bring it in, and that's all you need to do. And if you're worried about anything like this before, if you're new to crafting, because we get new crafters all the time, just have a play. Cut yourself some little bits of card up. Use your scraps. If you've got hold of the off-cut boxes, absolutely brilliant way of trying things out as well. So I'm quite happy with that. It gives that quite a moody look, I think. So I'm happy with that. So we'll pop that out the way. And then I'm going to get my little Tommy Soldier now. And I've got some... I'm not going to cut him out of the textured black. I'm going to cut him out of the ordinary black. And I'm seeing if I had a scrap here, but I haven't. So I'll get another piece out. Not a problem. Oh, I did have a piece here. I'm saying I didn't have a piece here. I did have a scrap here. I've been cutting my letters out. So let me just cut that down, because otherwise it won't go through my machine. So let's pop little Tommy on here. And I'm going to use some of the repositionable tape. We've got that back in stock. Okay, so don't forget, if you need repositionable tape for your dies, grab it while we have it. So I'm going to pop that through the machine. And we can then start bringing all this card together. And I want you to see this soldier, because I think he looks absolutely adorable when he's die cut. You don't need to do anything else with this, because the detail in this is amazing. Well, I think it's amazing. So let me get my pokey tool, excuse me. So you've got release holes here at the back. So just poke that through there, and then you can pull that away. But look at that detail. Absolutely amazing. So, you know, he's just a real statement piece. You don't need to do anything else. You know, the other thing I was thinking about is if you're having V-Day celebrations or parties, and now my sister does, because she works in an old people's home, so they do. And what you can do is print off some, if you go to Pinterest, and you can do some, print off some Union Jack bunting and things like that, and then just stick one of those in the middle, and straight away it gives a totally different effect to your work. So look out for free printables for things like that, and just put in a couple of Tommies on there. Perfect, absolutely perfect. I'm using my 3D foam pads here. I've got the 12 centimetre by 25 centimetre. So I'm going to raise the middle one up. Okay. So love a 3D foam pad, as I'm sure many of you do. And don't forget, if you signed up to the Pink Frog newsletter, you will be getting a new discount code tomorrow. So watch out for your inbox so you don't miss out on any discount codes that are coming up. So I'm going to stick these ones down. Just going to use some EVA. I could have used my double-sided tape as well. That would have worked perfectly. So a little bit damp still, but that should be fine. It just shows the quality of the card. I threw a lot of water at that, and it took it no problem whatsoever. Where's my little bone folder? Let's give that a burnish down. So I've taken my clear film. So I don't know whether anybody's used the clear film before, but it just acts as a bridge. So it comes in A4 sheets. I'm going to cut, you get 10 sheets for £4. I'm going to cut a strip roughly about 2 inches. Just with my trimmer. Cut it straight on your paper trimmer, no problem at all. And this is where it's hard. I'm gonna lose it, aren't I? I'm gonna lose it on my counter. I'm gonna have to put it on top of something because I'm gonna lose it. Right, there's my film, and I'm going to use some of the Pink Frog. She says I find it. It's under here somewhere. Easy finger lift tape. Okay, so we'll pop some of this on here because I found that's just the easiest way to stick it on the card. All right, so I'm going to put a piece each end just on there, and I like to do like my red line tape. I like to give it a little burnish, and then when you open these two out, I'm going to put a little piece just on here because this is A4. But this is US letter, so it's slightly bigger. So I'm covering my bases here. So pop that onto there. Peel that backing off. Hoping you can see a bit better on the craft card, because I keep losing everything. Take my tape off there. Come away, come away. It's stuck. Shows how strong it is. Look, it's stuck on there. No problem. That'll be fine. That's the inside of the card. Now, what you're going to do is just line this up so it's nice and straight. Give that a little burnish. So that's your inside of your card. So we've got that little bridge going on. And then I'm going to take my little Tommy Soldier, and to make him, no, I won't. I was going to 3D him, but actually, no, I'm not going to. I think I used glue on this one. Yes, I think I'll just use some glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. He doesn't need much. He only needs it around his boot area. And I'm going to stick him straight onto the clear film. Okay, and then I pre-die cut my letters out, so we just stick these on quickly. I could have used my fine bottle, but I've got this one open. So, but this could work as a scrapbook page. I've scrapbooked my grandfather in the past because he was in the war, and it's just nice to remember people that have given their lives for us. And the other nice thing about it as well is, you know, we should all remember, which is fab. But use your stamps in scrapbooking as well. I'm going to share some pictures over on the Pink Frogs Inspirations this weekend because it is National Scrapbooking Day, and all I've used is Pink Frog products. Just stamps, some dies. Doesn't have to be fancy, expensive papers. You can make some great layouts very quickly and easily. So there's our first card done with our lovely Tommy Soldier. I don't know what you'd call it. I suppose it is a 10th fold card, but you've got that movement of the extra layer there on the inside as well. So I'm not quite sure what you'd call it. But you can use this card style for so many different reasons. And I'll wait till the end. I'm going to show you something else that you can do with this style of card. So that's our first card. So now let's have a look. Let me move that to one side. And now we're going to look at this card. Okay, so we're going to do 2 cards today with the A4 letter size. So let me just put my lid on my glue, and I'm just going to pop my poppy away as well. So, oh, who's nipping out to a barbecue? Oh, Val says she's had the soldier stamp for years. It's a beautiful stamp, and you're right, it can be used for so many occasions. If you've got, you know, family in the forces as well, it works but perfectly for so many different occasions. Right, let's move on to this one. So this time I'm going to use the True Black as my background card. So we're going to do some scoring first. So let me bring in the True Black. So in the other card we used Super Smooth, Watercolour and Texture. So in this one we're going to use the True Black. So I hope my camera's not too close this time. I've moved it down. Let's do some scoring. So again, I'm going in with the long side on my scoreboard, and I'm going to work in inches again. Okay, so if you have your pens at the ready, write this down. It's a brilliant, it's a lovely little card. I love this. So we're going to do score lines at 1 3/4 inches and 3 1/2 inches and 5 1/4 inches and 7 inches. So basically you're doing 1 3/4 all the way along. So 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 5 1/4 and 7 inches. Okay, and then should we, I'm not going to burnish just yet. You're then going to bring your scoreboards in. So bring those in, make sure I've got that, you can see it. So now I've got these lines here, these score lines. Okay, I'm going to slide this through at the 2-inch mark, but you again could put this at any mark you like. I've popped it in at the 2-inch mark, and I'm going to cut between the first score line and the, so 1 2 3 4, you're going to cut between the first score line and the third score line. Okay, I had to stop and think then. So use your trimmer like this. We got the other trimmers on Pink Frog. I should have got mine out actually. So you'll notice that you've got a line on these. So just pop that down and make a mark. I can see it's in the correct place. Slide that along. Stop when you think you're there. You can always check, I need to go a little bit further. So go a little bit further and you've got your cut line. And you're going to do exactly the same on this side. I'm going to have to twizzle mine over. So I've got my 2-inch mark here. So 2 inches, come down to that first score line and then up to the third score line. Okay, so that's all you're doing with your trimming. And now we can burn. Now we're going to burnish. So you're going to fold these like a zigzag. So just at the moment, fold them all as a zigzag. And yes, get your bone folder and give them a burnish. Now, I was sharing a comment with somebody on Facebook this week, and we were talking about bone folders. And I said mine has got such a ridge on it where I keep doing lots of bone foldering. So what I do now and again is I get an emery board and smooth it all off and then carry on. The rate I'm going is going to be coming right down here. So you got that look going on. Unfortunately, I can't stand it right up because my camera is so low to the desk at the moment. If I stood it up, that's how close the camera is to my desk. So you've got that zigzag look, but you've cut those two panels, what you're going to do is you're going to push those out and push the other ones in. So can you now see you've got a panel going on? So it's a bit like a pop out. I suppose you could use it. No, you can't use this stepper. You haven't got a back on it. But you know, you could do so much with this. Now I have cut out some panels ready because we're going to do some different inking techniques on this one. I've cut these panels out of my Super Smooth this time. Okay, now these panels that I think fit absolutely perfectly, if I put that white one under there a minute, you'll see, fit absolutely perfectly on there with that lovely matte layer. These are measuring 3¼ inches by 4¼ inches. If you wanted to do centimetres, it's 8¼ centimetres by 10¾ centimetres. So I've cut 2 of those. And then the panel for the back here is 3¾ inches by 8¼ inches, which is roughly 9½ centimetres by 21 centimetres. Okay, so we're going to do some different techniques on here. So let's start with the big panel at the back. No, let's start with the little panel at the front, so I can see how far I get. So I'm going to use the little panel at the front. So I'm going to use my little poppies this time. And I'm going to use some masking. So let me bring... I've got 2 sets of poppies for some reason. So I've got all my masks I stick on this side. So I've cut myself 2 masks of this one just here. So let me peel off the masket. Okay. And I will just share with you how easy they are to make. Okay, there's that one and that one. And then I did have a little acrylic block here, so I didn't have to use my big one. And like everything in my craft room, I've tidied up my craft room and it's just as messy as when I started. Do a couple of days crafting and there you go. So I've taken that little poppy. All right, I'm going to use that. So with masket, this is your masket. Your masket comes in A4 sheets. You've got this coating here on one side, and then on the reverse it's like paper. Okay, this is sort of removable sticky. You're going to use it again and again and again. So what you're going to do with your poppy, I will stamp this out in the red, and then I don't have to clean my stamp and everything because I'm conscious of time. So what you do is you stamp your stamp, whatever stamp you're using. Stamp your stamp, pop that down, and then go in with a pair of scissors and you just cut around the edge. So when you're fussy cutting, you can go as clear to the edge. If you like to have a little edge, you can do. But when you're fussy cutting, keep your scissors straight and always turn your card or paper, or in this case, masket. So just keep doing your scissor action, but turn your paper or card and then just keep going. And that's as easy as fussy cutting is. And if you've got the stamps, I would definitely recommend making yourself some masks like I've done, because you'll use them again and again, and that's how easy they are to use. So that's your masket. So I'm going to take my red ink. Now normally we say bring the ink pad to your stamp, but on this occasion I'm going to do it that way because I'm being lazy. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to stamp my first image. So this is on a piece of the 3¼ by 4¼ So I'm just going to stamp my image. Now this is where you're going to take one of your masks, and you can, as I say, use these again and again and again. So I'm going to take a stamp, a mask. It's on there, so I can now slightly overlap the next little poppy. And then I can overlap this little poppy. So you're stamping over your mask, but it's not damaging the stamp you've got underneath. It looks like it's laying behind it. So then you're just going to move your stamps around, your masks around. So now I need 2. So just pop them on there and we'd carry on. But your masks you will use again and again and again. And please don't be frightened to use them again and again. I only stop using mine when they stop sticking. Okay, you'll get to a stage they stop sticking, and that's when you need to reinvest and make yourself some new masks. So I'm moving that one over that way, and I'm moving that one around that side, and I'm just creating myself a nice frame. Okay, let's do one that side. And this is a great idea for using smaller stamps like this, because they're great for creating your own sort of background papers, if you like. So, you know, and you can do this for so many things. For cards, if you haven't got the right sort of paper you want, think about stamping your images. You've seen Claire do it, you've seen me do it. You know, make your own background papers. Don't be afraid to do it. Let your stamps work for you. They're beautiful stamps, but don't just think you've got to stamp an image and colour it in, because you don't have to. You create background papers as well. So that last one there, and I've created this lovely frame that will frame our beautiful Tommy. So I'm going to take my mask off and I'm going to pop it back on my sheet here, because I put the clear film on this side. You may have seen this when we've done the storage. It's a great place to hide or to store your masks. Okay, it's a great way to do it. Let's just wipe that poppy stamp up and pop that back on there. Okay, so that is that bit. Now I could spritz this, I could ink over. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight over with a bit more of the red berries. So this is super smooth this time. So we're using that super smooth. So again with the blending tool, just blending over the top of those stamps, but it doesn't move them. They're still there, but I'm giving a bit more colour to it because I'm on the black card as a base. So popping that all the way over, pardon the pun, popping, you know what I mean. So popping that one on there. It's all right, I'm chuckling to myself now. I'm going to cut another quick Tommy out because I need one of them. So where is my lovely Tommy soldier? So let me just put some repositionable tape on there. And we'll pop that through the die cutting machine. Okay. So I'll get that over. I've taken some more of the letters to create even more of a background this time. So let's take Tommy off there. And let me just get my tweezers and stick these down. Okay. So I've cut these out of super smooth as well. Okay, so these are all out of super smooth. And then I've gone over with, not hickory smoke, I think it's called paper linen. I'll have a look in a minute. Just to take, they were too stark white for what I wanted on the card. So that's why I've just coloured them a little bit, because I wanted it to be as part of the background of the front of the card. So that is why I've just taken a little bit of colour to those. So just stick those on quickly. Okay. But I do hope you enjoy this, the US letter size. There's lots of different styles of card that you can make with these. This is a nice thing. If I get a chance at the end, I will share a few more with you. But have a play. And personally, oh, that didn't. I stuck that a bit far down, didn't I? Doesn't matter. Personally, working in inches, I love working in inches. So, you know, I don't have to second think what I'm doing. I know in my head what an inch looks like. So I'm going to do that as the background there. That could have been a bit straighter, but it's not. So I do apologise. You'll be taking more time when you're at home, I know. And yes, I've got to make my storage wallet for my card. I haven't done that yet. I've been that busy. So I must have a go at doing that because I've got space on my shelf for it ready. And then I can keep all my cards together. So let me just put the lid on my glue. Good housekeeping. Let's have a look at our little soldier. Pokey tool, pokey tool. So don't forget all the offers. You're going to get, I think the stamps are still on offer. I think they're on a 20% off. Plus you've got your discount if you signed up for the newsletter. So don't forget to take advantage of that while the offer is still on, because that ends at midnight tonight. I'm going to put 3D foam pad again on the back of him to raise him up a little bit. Will that one fit on there? Might just take a little piece off the side of that. That's perfect. So let's stick him on to here. So I'm just going to lay him over the top. Don't be worried about, oh, you're covering up words, because it's the layer upon layer upon layer. We've got the stamping. We've done some inking over the top. We've got the letters die cut. We've got the Tommy die cut. It's all those separate layers that we're bringing together. So let's pop him on the front of our card. And I've got a few more minutes to do some more to this. Might not get it all done, but I'll get done as much as I possibly can for you. So I want to do the background bit. Now, who has got the rose stamps? Because I've used part of the rose stamps with the panel that I've got here as well. So let me put my lid on my glue. So this time I'm going to bring in the poppy that we used last time, but I'm going to bring the little one in. And I am going to need the little mask in a minute. So let's stamp this first. So this is my large panel. So this is going to go in the corner there. And I'm going to do exactly what I did with the other one. So we're going to come in with a bit of green. And then some of the red as well. Okay. So this is on super smooth. So I'm just going to put my poppy down there. Just leave that a minute to let the ink soak in. Don't be worried about it. Let the ink soak in. So I've talked about the rose stamps. Now, if you've got the rose stamps, you'll notice this lovely thorn or branch. This is what I've used to go round the edge. So let's remove that. That's looking gorgeous. So I'm just going to wipe that off. Now I'm going to decide whether I'm going to, I could mask it, but I think I'm going to get away with not masking it. We'll try it. If I get in a problem, I might have to come back and get a mask. So let's stamp that image, or ink that image there. And then I'm just using this as a border. This stamp alone in this set is absolutely fabulous. So if you haven't got the rose, where have you been? You need this in your life, definitely. So I'm just going to wipe that off there and finish. I'm going to do a little bit more. I haven't inked down this bottom bit here because I want to just carry that across. And then I'm going to do it again around the edge. But this is just going to frame this. I'm going to do a bit more on that end because I like that end. This is just going to frame this, which I think works really well. You may have seen the lovely Heather on the design team. She's used this in the actual folios to frame where you put your photograph as well. So it just gives a lovely border. I should have been a bit better there, but I'm rushing. You're not going to rush when you're at home. So a little bit more there. And then I'm just going to do that part down the bottom. Yeah, I did it without putting the mask on. I put the mask on the first time round. So that just gives me that lovely frame on there with that lovely rose dye. And then I could go in with my watercolour brush and just drag the colour out. You could leave it as is. I've got too much water coming out my brush because I'm on the super smooth, so you know you can use water as well. My watercolour brush has gone berserk. So just agitating that ink and dragging that across to give a lovely colour hue to it, but not too in your face. Okay, and then let's do the leaf as well, and you can do the branch. So that's your back panel. That gives you another idea how to do that. So let's stick that one in. So we'll pop that in with some EVA. I'm not going to have a chance to do that middle panel because we're running out of time, but I'll share with you how I've done that quickly. Let's just stick this one down. So that is going to go onto there. So again, with inserts for your card, that rose twig gives a lovely way of you sort of framing an insert for your cards as well. So it's a good one to use. So the other thing I did do on my main card, I had my other panel. This time I used the rose thorns with some red ink, and then I've actually taped around the edge with some strips of masket. And in your poppy stamps, let's bring mine, are well used and well loved, you've got this lovely script. You can see it there behind there. You've got that lovely script, and then I just stamped the script, and I stamped that in the Versifying Claire in the Morning Mist, which is a grey in the background. I then stamped again another poppy image that you've got in your poppy stamps, this one just here. Did the same technique with the 2 ink pads to stamp that, but then this time I actually used the poppy dies as well. If you've got the poppy dies, so the poppy dies are £12.99, I think. Kimberly will confirm. So the poppy dies only work with the small poppy stamp. So I've die cut that out, and then I've risen that on some 3D foam pads, as you can see. Okay, so that's that one. So that's how I finished that off. And I kept the black just plain, just to show that colour that's going on there. So before I go, I just wanted to share something quickly with you. So we did this card, which, you know, with your A4, oh, why do I keep saying A4? Your US letter, your US letter size, you've got a couple of different cards you can make there. Now, the nice thing is, don't forget that it doesn't have to be for VE Day. I've created one here for a birthday, just using the country scenes, I think it is. Let me see. The country scene stamp. So rather than cut my panels for this, what I did, I've got one here that I prepared. What I did this time was I added up all the measurements. So you've got your 2 panels at 3.5 and 1 panel, I think, at 4. So I kept it as one picture, stamped my barn first and then masked it, and then used the bottom stamp to create a whole page scene. So you've got that. This is coloured in using the baby wipe technique, which I'll try and bring to you at some stage. And then afterwards, I then cut the 2 strips. So you create it as one thing and then you cut your 2 strips down. So that's another way you can do that card. But these are the 2 cards we've done today. I do hope you've enjoyed them. I'll just flip the camera around without giving you too much of a headache. There we go. Let's pop that up there. You can see how low my I think I might have done by moving. Oh, there we are. We are still there. So I am going to say thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I do hope you've enjoyed the couple of little ideas I've given you with the lovely US letter size card. Don't forget to grab yours while the offers are still on. They run out tonight at 12 o'clock. So do grab yours. I hope you've liked the techniques with the stamping, with the inking, with the masks, creating something a little bit different. And of course, that gorgeous little Tommy die, I think, is absolutely glorious. So that's given you a few ideas for VE Day. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful sunny afternoon. You can see the sun starting to come through the craft room, and I've got the window blocked up with boards. So thank you very much for joining me. I'd like to say, from myself and all the Pink Frog team, I'd like to wish you all a very good and safe bank holiday weekend. Have a fabulous time. Spend it with family and friends. Enjoy the sunshine. Get crafting, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.